Welcome back to Dover International Speedway, getting set for Bud Hole qualifying, the 13th race of the 2004 NASCAR Nextel Cup season. Let's take a look at our front row for the NASCAR Busch Series race tomorrow. It's an all Bruco front row. Bruco Motorsports represented by David Green, the veteran, and Johnny Sauter. Green with his first Busch Series pole since March of 2003 at Bristol. It's a big weekend of racing here at Dover. You can see the NASCAR Busch Series race. Tomorrow, or actually later on today, is the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series following qualifying. And then tomorrow you'll see that Busch Series race on FX at 12:30 p.m. Eastern, 9:30 Pacific, followed by happy hour practice. And then on Sunday, the MBNA America 400 coverage beginning at 12:30 p.m. Eastern, followed by Speed News NASCAR edition at 7 Eastern and NASCAR Victory Lane at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Last week at Lowe's Motor Speedway, Jimmy Johnson put a hurting on the field. Look at that move in between Robbie Gordon and Casey Kane. Johnson led over 500 miles of the 600-mile event. A dominating win. The driver who wins back-to-back 600s. Take a look at the point standings. Johnson now within 5 points of the leader, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Kevin Harvick, last driver inside the top 10. And we look at positions 11 through 20. Remember, in the chase for the championship, you have to be within 400 points of the leader or in the top 10, and it's Casey Kane and Jamie McMurray with those 2 spots. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Dover. I'm Steve Burns alongside Larry McReynolds and Darrell Waltrip. We saw a track record in Busch Series qualifying, and boys, I'd say that Cup record could fall here today as well.
Well, you know, we run 15 seconds at Bristol. We run 21 seconds at Richmond. That's a half mile and a 3/4 mile. Here on this 1 mile racetrack, we're going to be right down in the low 22s. That's an incredible speed around a track like this. So hold on to your hats. They call this white lightning. Today it's as quick as lightning.
And if we base anything off Busch Series qualifying, it's not predictable when the lap's going to be the quickest. Is it going to be the first lap? Is it going to be the second lap? We saw Johnny Sauter, who qualified on the outside the front row. He picked up 2/10 on his second lap. And Darrell, what I think happens is you get a good first lap, you try to reach down and get a little bit more. Sometime on that second lap you get by with it, sometime you don't.
And the other thing, Larry, I think is the tires that you decide to go on. You have an option in the Cup. You can go on a used set of tires, buff tires, sticker tires, a lot of options there. So I think that'll play into it as well.
Let's head down to trackside and our Dick Berggren.
Thanks, Steve. Qualifying is important everywhere, but perhaps more so here at Bristol than other places, because the guy that qualifies on the pole, he gets to pick his pit first, and he's going to pick way down there at the other end of the racetrack where there's nobody in front of him. The guys who don't qualify well today, they're going to be sitting right about where I'm sitting, up toward turn 4 in some of the tightest pit stalls in all of NASCAR. Just outside those pit stalls, a very narrow pit road, and if a guy has to come out of one of these tight little pit stalls and drive all the way down that narrow pit road that on Sunday afternoon is going to be filled with traffic, the probability of a bent fender is very, very high. You've got to qualify well to get a good pit, and getting a good pit here is vitally important.
By the way, no sitting down on the job once qualifying begins. Right after qualifying, stay with us here on Speed, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series in action. The MBNA America 200, and it's live at 4 p.m. Eastern, qualifying just ahead from Dover. Speed Channel's coverage of NASCAR Bud Pole qualifying from the Dover International Speedway, brought to you by MBNA and by Dodge. You can take life as it comes, or you can grab life by the horns. Dodge. And by new M3 Power from Gillette. Feel the power of the world's best shave. Back at the Monster Mile in Dover, Delaware. Kurt Busch scheduled to be the first driver out. And guys, in practice, a couple of Dodge drivers up front, Jeremy Mayfield and Ryan Newman.
And Jeremy Mayfield's coming off of a great run at Lowe's Motor Speedway. He finished second here in September, and this has been a racetrack. It just seems like no matter what car he's been driving or what team he's been driving for, he's always ran well here.
There's Mayfield about to go out. Larry, let's talk about that black line along the wall, the bottom of the wall.
Well, certainly Darrell drove here on the concrete, but the concrete almost blends in with the white wall. So what they did, DW, they put that black line here where you know where the wall meets the concrete racing surface.
Yeah, and by the time you see that black line, probably a little too late. You know, you run right around the bottom here, although we have seen a few races here where guys get to run it up through the middle of the racetrack, but that's just to help the guys getting off the corner. They complained about the track and the wall kind of blending together. It makes a lot of sense.
And Darrell, I read where safer barriers are on the way. This track is similar to Darlington in that the guys will run up to the high side.
Well, yeah, and this track is an ideal candidate for the safer barriers. I mean, when you're on the bottom of the racetrack here and you have a tire failure, you cannot imagine how hard you hit that outside retaining wall. So what we saw with Dale Jr. here last year, he spun down in turns 1 and 2. Didn't look like he was going that fast, but you hit that outside wall really, really hard here.
I mean, it's a 1 mile racetrack. Jeremy Mayfield was the quickest in practice at almost 161 miles an hour average now. So that means at the end of these straightaways, you're probably running almost in excess of 180 miles per hour.
Well, yeah, and what it means is you don't slow down in the turns at all. You've got more turn here than you got straightaway. You got a 1/4 mile straightaway here. That's all. No, you don't have a 1/4 mile here. You got about 1/8 mile straightaway here.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. backed into the wall last September. And as you said, Darrell, when you get up on that wall, you get up there in a hurry.
Well, it's so far from the bottom of the track up to the top that you just keep gaining speed.
Hey, Dick Bergman's off pit road with a guy who had a great run last weekend at Lowe's Motor Speedway.
Yeah, he did. Elliott Sadler started 4th, finished 5th, and this guy has never found the wall at Dover, so he's got no idea what it feels like. How's your hot rod this weekend?
We got a really good race car. The M&M's Ford was really good in practice. My guys have really been on a roll here lately. To get in the car is very comfortable for me to drive, and been good on long runs. And we're good here again today. So I just want to try to get a good top 5, a top 6 starting position, and try to go get the guys on Sunday.
You know what your guys tell me? They tell me their driver is on a roll. You're running real well. Congratulations.
Thanks a lot.
All right, thanks, Dick. In a milestone race here this weekend, guys. Race number 1,000 in the modern era, which officially began in 1972.
That's a lot of races.
Well, I was here in 1972. I have to admit that.
1995, the racetrack was converted from asphalt to a concrete surface as Kurt Busch takes to the racetrack.
Yeah, of course, Bristol was the very first racetrack to go to a full concrete surface. And then about 3 years later, the people here at Dover, they always had trouble keeping the asphalt to stay down. So they elected to go to the concrete and have had literally no problems with it.
Darrell, you were talking about how fast this place is. You know, talking to drivers, they all say that this is one of the most physically demanding tracks to drive.
Well, it really is. Like I said, you don't have much straightaway here, and the whole track is banked. When you go down the straightaway here, the car still wants to pull to the inside, so you almost have to hold it up in the racetrack. You never get a chance to relax except under caution.
Yeah, these straightaways are banked 9 degrees. That's more banking than some of the places we race has in the corners. Kurt Busch's first time 22.68. He was 4th quickest in practice. That's about where he practiced, maybe just a tick slower. He has started 7th or better in the last 4 Dover races, so normally qualifies well here, and he actually slows down just a little bit on that second lap.
That is the same. That is the event record, 22.682, believe it or not. So that ties the event record. The track record is 22.50, and I think we'll see that fall.
That's set by Rusty Wallace in September of 1999, 159.964 miles per hour. Jeff Gordon gets around this place pretty good. 22 starts, 4 wins, 2 poles, 15 top 10.
Pretty good might be a little bit of an understatement, Steve.
But the biggest thing they're wanting to do is get that race from Lowe's Motor Speedway out of their system. Today qualifying would be a good place to start.
Scott Riggs attempting his first Nextel Cup start on this racetrack.
Scott was pretty decent in practice, 15th quickest at a 22.94.
One from the pole here, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series in June of 2001. Also has 4 Busch Series starts.
Got word that Kurt Busch had talked about his car was just a little bit freer getting in the corner, a little looser than it had been in practice.
Well, if you tape the things up, you know, solid on the grill, sometimes that'll loosen you up a little bit on corner entry, but it'll make it cut good through the center, and that's what you want here.
Dick Bergen was talking about how important qualifying is here at this racetrack. 55 of 68 races have been won from inside the top 10.
But
wow.
Dick Bergman was right. Other than maybe Martinsville, this is one of the most treacherous pit roads that we go to. We have more action there than we do on the racetrack sometimes.
Cup qualifying continues from Dover right after this on Speed. Underway here at Dover. Stanton Baird in the 94 car.
Tell you what, that's pretty good lap, Steve. I mean, he's second quick there at an 83. Not too bad. I think if the car is bottoming out a little bit getting into turn 1, wasn't doing that. I think he'd been a little quicker yet.
Yeah, he was 36 quickest in practice, DW, and he's picked up about 4/10 from practice. Pretty good run for Stanton.
Yes, sir.
Missed a show at Lowe's last week, so this will be a good confidence builder for him.
Eased her up a couple more hundreds there at an 81. Nice job.
We're anticipating 46 drivers taking time today for 43 spots. Joe Nemechek. See there his best start of third here, 1994.
Now, I tell you, Joe's one of those guys that could attest to this place needing safer barriers because he had a horrendous crash here in his Busch car testing. And matter of fact, it put him out of the car for a few weeks.
In 2001, he missed 5 races, had a broken shoulder blade, and said it was the worst wreck he's ever had. He crashed here, I believe, last September. This race team hasn't had much luck at all the last 3 weeks and races.
When you crash that hard at a place like this, it's hard to drive all drawn up like that. Because you don't forget.
23.09 on Joe's first lap. That's the slowest of the 4 cars that qualified. I know one thing this team did do during the 2-hour practice earlier, not a good forecast for tomorrow's final practice. So what they did, they spent most of their practice doing long race runs trying to get ready to race.
Yeah, a lot of guys did there. I noticed, you know, 30 and 40 laps earlier today, which is unusual before qualifying.
You know, Steve, you mentioned we have 46 cars here. When the track opened this morning, we actually had 49 cars. We had 3 cars that withdrew because of inspection problems or not quick enough. Kevin Ray, Carl Long, as well as Stan Boyd.
Last September, we mentioned Joe Nemechek hit the wall hard. Here's how it happened. The right front damage to that race car.
Oh yeah, it'll knock that tire, that right front tire, all the way under the firewall, as you can see.
I think that picture right there tells the tale about Dover, Delaware. The
pretty well used up and on fire. Yeah. It didn't get much worse than that.
Hey, you know, we always say, where's Hammond? We found him. He's on pit road. What's going on, Jeff?
Well, I'm down here with one of the guys who's pulling the double duty today, Greg Biffle. And Greg done changed uniforms, got that speed racer look about you. How's your National Guard car today?
It's really good. You know, the guys have done a great job, Bobby and Doug. The thing's running good. The engine's pulling good. I feel like we got a car we can get in the top 10 with here. And we finished 7th last time here, so really excited about it. Good track for us. Busch car's running good, so pretty excited about it.
Greg, we're starting to feel a few raindrops. See the car cover going on your car right now. How's this going to affect things?
It's going to affect it big. I don't know that, you know, they keep saying it's going to be raining for a while, but We haven't seen any rain, but now it's starting, so who knows how long it'll last. But hopefully we get qualifying in. We got a really good car here, and we're 21st in points, so we really want to qualify.
A lot of teams right now not liking the fact to see this rain come in, guys.
And we hate to see that car cover going over the car.
It's the first time we've seen it this year.
That's
though.
right. Good point. We'll be right back to Dover. We're back at the Dover International Speedway, and unfortunately, qualifying has been waved off for the moment. A few raindrops, but
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be raining all that much. It's just a little small, little bitty shower.
a clearing shower, perhaps. Not even a shower.
No.
Sprinkles. In any case, Dick Bergen can shed more light on our weather and one of our top drivers.
Well, it's raining just a little bit, but one of our top drivers is none other than Kurt Busch. And remember back to September year 2000, we talk about qualifying and how important it is to start up front. September 2000, he was running a truck here at Dover Downs, and in the very final moments of the happy hour session, he drove that truck right into the wall when a tire failed. So into a backup truck, 0 laps of practice on the truck, went out, started tail end Charlie, and how'd that race end?
It was a great race for us because it was cute. With the backup truck, it was one of those older trucks where they didn't have anything clearance, so we're dragging the racetrack. Even my left elbow was running into the door bars all race long. So it was fun to just get in there and try to race the race, and let alone win it. It was a challenging race with my teammate finishing second, Biffle, that day, and having to beat Mike Wallace for the win. It was one of those great back in the day stories. You know, I'm starting to add those up, you know, but I've got so many other in between that don't quite add up as happy as that one.
Took about 146 laps to go from the very back to the very front. How has the racetrack changed since then? Is it pretty much the same in terms of the line that you take and the groove that you run?
I believe it's still relatively the same because they ground the track, I think, in '99 for the IRL cars, and I experienced it as smooth as it is today. It still continues to be the same track, but our setups continue to get different and different each year, just with softening the springs up and changing the way the weight's ballast. Just one thing after the next, you're changing and changing, trying to keep up with the times, and we came and tested here just because we thought we were getting a little bit behind, and that helped us with our qualifying effort today, and we committed to qualifying practice knowing that we've got a good race package, and that if practice does get rained out tomorrow for us, we'll be okay.
And years ago, this racetrack is so unique that no one would come here and test, Jeff Hammond.
Well, Dick, if you've ever tried to test here, you'd understand why. And one of the guys here that never qualifies that well, but Jeff Burton told me, along like his teammate Kurt Busch, you guys worked on race runs thinking that the weather was going to be a little bit iffy tomorrow as far as Saturday's concerned.
Yeah, we did. We spent really all of our time this morning working on race runs. We made one qualifying run toward the end, and we weren't very good, but we got a car where it drives really well in race trim, and that's what we're looking for, is being able to race well. Here, if you have a car that drives well, you can charge to the front pretty easily, and I was pretty happy this morning. We can get just a touch better, then I'll be a whole lot happier.
Well, you haven't been very happy so far this year, so it's good to see a big smile on your face about having a car that you feel like you can win with again.
Well, you know, a lot of times we have good cars and we do silly things to mess it up. You know, last week we ran out of gas on the green coming off turn 4. We ran out of gas. I tried to get it slowed down to get on pit road, and I shouldn't have done that. I should have just given it up and gone all the way around, and that cost us a lot. And then we made some changes last week and got too loose on restarts, but we didn't run bad last week. We did compared to Jimmy Johnson, but everybody did. And Richmond, we ran well. We're starting to see that we're running better, but we're not doing all the other things it takes to get the finishes that we think we've deserved. But it's time to get it done. It's time to quit talking about it and time to get it done.
Well, thanks a lot and good luck today, Jeff.
And Jeff, just to show you how teams are committed to being better the next week than they were the previous week, they're racing the same race car they ran at Lowe's, but they didn't pack the wheel bearings and put a new engine in it, come to Dover. They cut the tail end of the car off. They carried it to the wind tunnel. They were in the wind tunnel yesterday morning with this race car, trying to make it better. And I know it's covered up right now, but the most disappointing thing about this race car, it's back with blank quarter panels. The car's solid white without a sponsor here this weekend.
It's hard to believe, too, that a guy that's won 17 times at this level is sitting 29th in points right now.
They have really, really struggled. Last couple of years, that team has really struggled. Made a lot of changes, crew chiefs, a lot of things, but haven't hit on it yet.
And it looks like good news, boys, are taking those car covers off.
Well, you know, like I said, you know it's not raining very much, Steve, because not a fan got up and left. And so that's always a good sign. That's kind of the indicator as to whether you should go or stay.
Just saw Scott Wimmer's crew taking the cover off, and he was in the news this week. He was actually convicted of DWI and is going to perform some community service, and said he's glad to have it behind him.
I feel, you know, he is a good kid, and he made a mistake. And, you know, I tell every driver, whether it's on the track or off, admit what you did, live up to your mistakes, apologize, and move on. And I think that he's done a good job of that.
I don't think anybody knows better the mistake he made than himself. You can hear it when he talks about it. And I mean, we've all made mistakes. And, you know, my theory has always been you make one mistake, maybe not your fault. You make two, then nobody's fault but yours.
Well, yeah, and he's got a sweet wife, and he comes from a good family. I mean, I just know the kid. And he's got a good heart and a good attitude. And I'm glad he gets this behind him, and we can, like I said, move on.
And he's had it hanging over his head. The DW charge was levied at the end of January. In fact, the night before the Super Bowl. And as I said, he's happy to get it behind him. He's already undergone some alcohol counseling, so he's going to do the right thing.
And DW, you'll love this story right here. Him, like a lot of the rookies, as we get into the month of June here, are going to be seeing a lot of the racetracks for the first time. This team went to Pocono and tested over the last couple of days. When they got off the airplane in Pocono, he said, man, is this not a beautiful area? When they loaded the car up, he said, I'm not sure about this place.
Well, they sell it as the honeymoon capital of the world, so you go there with the stars in your eyes, you know.
I still like Terry Labonte's line about Pocono, and you talk about how difficult those three different corners are and how distinct they are. Somebody asked Terry, what's your favorite turn at Pocono? And he said the one that leads out to the airport.
That'd be the right-hand turn.
Yeah. Scott was 23rd quickest in practice earlier today, and picks it up 22.82, third quickest.
Yeah, not a bad lap, but he was on sticker tires. That's brand new tires, and we'll see. Sometimes you go on stickers, the second lap it could be a little bit quicker.
Wimmer has a win here in the Busch Series, his first career win, as a matter of fact. September of 2002.
Yeah, he's picked it up about 2.5 tenths from what he practiced. Now he slows down on the second lap. A good lap for Scott.
What's going on, Jeff Hammond?
Well, I'm down here with a couple of guys that seem like they can't get away from each other. Ricky Craven and Terry Labonte. They wound up being basically 25th and 26th in practice. They're lined up on pit road to qualify, one behind the other, and they didn't even realize that. But, Terry, how about that son of yours, Justin? Quite a qualifying effort there for the young man.
Well, it really was. He ran awful well qualifying. He ran good in practice. We came up here last night and looked at the track. He came up and tested it. He said, you know, I think this is my favorite track so far that I've been to. And, you know, this is a tough track, but they unloaded off the truck really fast. And, you know, I know he's looking forward to the race tomorrow.
I think somebody told me that his Uncle Bobby went down there and was going to see how he was doing, saw how fast he was, and turned around and just kind of like came back to the Nextel Cup garage and says, I can't help that guy.
I stood on the top of the truck and watched. So that's what I did. I went down there and they were running so good. I just came back and watched. And but they really ran good today, so I'm happy for them.
Well, he should be. And Ricky Craven, how about that tire ride, buddy? How you doing today?
Yeah, it's better. It's actually better in 26. We are expecting to, I don't know, I think we can run a 70, but I'm not sure what that'll get us. But, you know, the second set of tires didn't match up quite as good as the first set. And so I'm just kind of hanging out here and getting ready to go.
Well, good luck, and hopefully you can do that. Guys?
Well, that track record just went by the wayside.
Of course, it was held by Rusty Wallace and his teammate Ryan Newman in the 12 car. He actually shattered it on both laps. In fact, both laps was almost identical.
Look at Ryan's record here. 4 starts, 4 top 10s, 2 wins, and a pole. You see at the top it says Go Blue Hens. That's for the University of Delaware.
He likes this place. Swept both races last year in 2003.
Led 162 laps and winning from the pole here a year ago.
We're getting a quote here that on his radio, he said it wasn't just quite perfect, but wasn't far from it.
Always wonder how fast they run if they're perfect.
Yeah.
Robbie Gordon, the 31 car, he was 16th quickest in practice.
You know, guys, guys, we're heading into a real busy stretch of the season. Robbie Gordon, one of the drivers and teams who will leave Dover, assuming the weather's okay, and go test at the road course at Infineon Raceway. So a lot of traveling over the next 4 or 5 weeks.
Of course, the reason he's going there, he just won the race there last year, but they've changed the track again. I think they've done some work on it. Not changed it necessarily, but I think they've done some paving on it. And everybody wants to go see what the difference is.
They did repave it, and it is fast. Robbie ends up 6th quickest. Slowed down just a little bit on that second lap.
And we go back to Dick Berggren.
Within a time frame of about, what, 5 minutes, maybe 8 minutes, Joe Nemechek qualified his Busch car and qualified his Nextel Cup car. The surprise was the Busch car. We rather expected to see you on the front row. Front row, Joe, what happened?
Well, we broke something in the valve train. We made one qualifying run, and my second lap in the middle of 3 and 4, something broke in the motor, and the car was extremely good, so we put a new motor in it. It was way too loose qualifying. It just something changed, track changed a little bit, and I got to go to the back anyway, so we just needed a good pit stall, and I was going for it, but it's just too free. Seemed like that's completely opposite what happened with our Cup car.
We got trouble.
You know,
Trouble on the racetrack, Joe.
So Greg Biffle hard into the wall.
I don't think it's too bad, is it?
That's not too bad, guys. He bounced off of it a little bit. I mean, he killed it, but I don't think he didn't kill it. He just wounded it.
And that was his crew chief, Doug Richard, talking to him. I had a conversation with Doug earlier this year about their qualifying earlier this week, because in the first 7 races, he had 6 top 10 starts, including the Bud Pole for the Daytona 500. But in the last 5 races, only 1 top 10 start. And Darrell, he said an interesting thing. He said, once the weather turned warm, it's like we've not found the combination, possibly with air pressure or something.
Take a look at the replay.
Gets down into turn 1, right in the middle of 1. It's starting to get loose right there. It jumped a little loose with him. He's trying to pull it back down to the bottom, but the more he tries to pull it to the bottom, the looser it gets. Gets that wobble up off of 2. Doesn't hit the wall all that hard. The right rear gets into it, but it didn't. Like I said, I believe they can fix that car.
He's very lucky he didn't come down and slam the inside wall, which is normally what happens here.
Wow. And one of the things, Larry, about as the temperature goes up, as it gets hotter and in the summertime, one of the things I learned was you got that big sway bar, that 2-inch sway bar. When the tracks are cool and the tracks are fairly, and the weather's fairly cool, you can run that big bar, but you got to come off of that when it gets hot and slick.
So we'll take a quick break here at the Dover International Speedway and continue with qualifying. Ryan Newman is on the pole for now. NASCAR Bud Bowl qualifying from the Dover International Speedway is brought to you by Budweiser. It's time for a fresh one. Grab a Budweiser. The race is on. And Dale Jarrett is on the racetrack.
He was one of the teams that elected to spend most of that practice earlier this morning working on race setup, and that kind of reflected on their practice time. They were only 33rd quickest.
Had a decent finish last week. We didn't get a chance to talk about him a whole lot. What did he finish? 12, 11, 12, 13, somewhere along in there.
He may have been in the top 15 somewhere. 22.98 on his first lap, puts him 7th quickest, slows down, so he'll be 7th right now.
You know, we've only had 9 cars go, and Biffle didn't really get a lap in, but that makes even Stanton Barrett's time more impressive. He's hanging there in 3rd place.
Yeah.
He's a guy I think that has to make this race on time, so he's stepped it up today.
DJ finished 18th at Lowe's Motor Speedway last week, and we go to Jeff Hammond.
Down here with Jeff Gordon. DuPont's just right up the road, my friend. Any pressure to perform well here?
Yeah, because now I got them sitting over there in that DuPont Monster Bridge going in turn 3. They can really see what that thing's doing now. But, yeah, you know, we come up here and DuPont supports us so much. We've got a great relationship with them and had a lot of success. Had a lot of success here in Dover. So we're looking forward to a great weekend with them.
Your car pretty good today?
It was good. You know, we knew that the rain was coming, and especially for tomorrow, and so we race practice for the first part of the day and then put it into qualifying mode, and we only got to make 2 runs real tight, so Let's hope we freed it up enough.
He's hoping he's ready, guys.
Thanks, Jeff. Jeff Gordon has led
Whoa, Michael's in
3,000 laps, and Michael Waltrip hard into the wall.
Now that one I don't think's fixable, and he was second quickest on his first lap, DW.
Boy, I did. That thing just jumped around, and I was. As I know, you're always second guessing people, but I almost thought, man, with a good lap like that, I didn't know if he could pick up. Look at it.
It knocked one of the rear springs out of the car.
He knocked it down, buddy.
And that was a good lap, that first one, 22.67. Not near as quick as Ryan, but that, as you say, it would be second quickest.
Does that show you, does that send you a message right there as to how hard those walls are here?
Yeah.
Holy cow, look at that. It's broken off to the rear, to the back of the seat.
Coming off his best finish of the year at Lowe's Motor Speedway, where he was second. As Larry said, he was second quick on his first lap.
Same area that Greg Biffle got in trouble right there, turn 2.
And Darrell, I mentioned to you during the commercial break, it looks like here that there's no saving the race car. When that back end starts to come, there's nothing you can do as a driver. Is that correct?
Yeah, what makes you fast here is that you're able to get back in the throttle wide open way before the center of the turn. And so you are carrying, if you're running 160 mile an hour around here, you come off that corner at 160 mile an hour roughly. So when the thing breaks loose, there's no way to catch it. I mean, it's just a snap.
He's out of the car. You hear the fans applauding. Glad he's okay.
And we would listen to some of Michael Waltrip's radio transmission. He said, guys, I wish you would have told me my first lap was that good. I would have stopped.
No, that's exactly what, like I said, I hate to second guess anybody, but such a great first lap. I think I'd have brought it on in. Here he goes. He just down in there, and the same thing, just like Biffle. He gets up out of the groove a little bit. You're trying to crank it down. You pull the thing to the left. The more you pull it, looser it gets. And there's no saving it right there. She is long gone, baby.
About the same exact spot where Biffle lost it.
I would say that has all the makings of a hot spot.
I might be able to get some help on that one. Let's go over here. Come on, boys. Let's go talk about this.
You got plenty of video to support it.
That's right.
And in Slugger Labby's defense as crew chief, he told Michael in response to that, he said, I didn't see the time quick enough to tell you.
Right, right.
As they pick up sheet metal from the Napa Chevy, they're going to have to actually do some work on the fence.
Yeah, you can see right there, and I think that's where Michael's deck lid, when it sheared off, went up there and kind of almost cut some of the pieces of the fence.
I don't know how you'd weld that.
It's Brett Bodine right there, former Nextel Cup driver. Now works for NASCAR. Good move for Brett, good move for NASCAR.
Well, Dick Berggren with the fastest driver on wheels right now.
The Rocket Man, and last year he won both races here at Dover, and both with a good bit of flair and drama. In the spring, Ryan Newman's power steering failed. Never mind, he soldiered on, played Hercules, and won the race. In the fall, he had a flat tire, pitted for that flat tire, went down a lap, and won the race. You gonna bring us all that kind of drama here Sunday?
We hope not, but we hope to have the same result. We'll just see what the Autel Dodge is capable of. You know, we fought through some different situations last year, and hope we don't have to fight through those again, or any others for that matter. So we'll see what happens. Good qualifying run.
And you used the same car to win those races last year, but that is not this car. That one, I understand, is up in the back of the truck. Why not bring a car that had won twice?
This car has 3 poles this year, Atlanta, Bristol, and Rockingham. So it's been a good car all year. We'll just see what it's got to offer here at Dover.
That's the correct answer. You get 100. Matty? Oh, I'm sorry. No, we're back to the regular crew. Bernsey.
All right, thanks, Dick. And, you know, it's pretty amazing. In his career, this would be his 22nd pole in just 93 starts.
Pretty good percentage.
Wonder if that's his concrete car, Larry.
I don't know. I don't know.
We'll have to get Dick to find out if it's his concrete car. Or maybe Hammond could find out.
Well, I think he sat on the pole at Bristol as well, so we know it's the car he won at Bristol.
Well, let's go to Jeff Hammond.
We're talking about guys sitting on the pole. Jeremy Mayfield, top of the chart right now as far as practice is concerned. And do you have your concrete car in this? How good is this number 19?
Well, I guess it's a concrete car. It's running good, but no, these guys done a great job in this Dodge. It was UW Dodge Day. It's we tested here a couple weeks ago and knew we had a good race package, and came here and put it in qualifying trim. It's been fast ever since, and really fast. So now the driver can go back out and back it up in qualifying. We'll be all right.
I noticed a minute ago your car owner, Ray Evernham, walking around here. What's Ray's demeanor right now? What kind of mood's he in?
He's been in a great mood. He's awesome. He said, I better get on the pole because we got to do your show tonight. You know,
trackside.
Yeah, trackside. And he's going to talk bad about me if I don't, so I got to get on the pole so we'll have a good night. But no, he's been great. He's been in a good mood lately. We're running good, and anytime we're running good, he's in a good mood. We're not, you know how he is. He gets in a bad mood quick.
Well, somebody talking about having pressure right now. I think I'd be more worried about Darrell Waltrip getting on you than Ray Evernham.
I'm not worried about Darrell because I've been watching that, feud him and Tony's got going on, so I'm just kind of laying out of that, just taking it easy. He's probably mad at me now, but I don't want to get involved in all that. I know DW's a good guy, and he takes care of us, and he'll take care of me today no matter what.
Now, see, that's my buddy.
Everybody wants to get on his bandwagon.
He understands. Oh, yeah, well, it's kind of it's a backhanded way of getting to somebody else.
Let's take another look at Michael Waltrip's incident and listen.
That is a gut-wrenching sound.
Dick Berger's with another guy who unfortunately tested the wall. Dick?
And that's Greg Biffle. What happened, Greg?
I just got a little bit loose coming up off of 2 there. I mean, the Busch qualifying was so tight that there's no time to sit around. You got to go. And this is a racetrack that's not very forgiving. Once it gets out from under you, it'll just take off there. So, we had a little bit freer setup than a lot of our teammates. So, I think that it got us,
Will you fix this car or you need to go to a backup?
Well, it's certainly fixable, but we're just not sure. We see a little bit of bent tin in there, and we figured efforts just getting the other car out and ready. It's ready to go. It's a car we ran at Bristol and run really good with. We get to talking about it. We think it's a better car than this. So I said, I don't think there's much of a choice. Fill out a better car or fix this one.
Given that both you and Michael wrecked in the same spot, do you think there's something going on in that particular area?
Well, certainly that brief little bit of rain shower we had come through here could have made a little bit of impact on the racetrack. Could have cooled it down a little bit surface-wise, and the tires aren't getting as good a grip or something. That's certainly possible, but Ryan Newman went right before us and went pretty fast, so he might have been a different spot on the track too. So definitely a little bit free right now.
Thanks for your comments. We appreciate it.
All right, thanks, Dick. Michael Waltrip's car on the rollback. We'll head to break and come back with more qualifying from the Dover International Speedway. Ryan Newman, the man to beat. Back at Dover under caution. That's the reason why in qualifying, Michael Waltrip has backed his number 15 Chevy into the wall. Greg Biffle actually did it prior to Michael Waltrip. Let's take a look at the replays right off of turn 2, or going into 2, guys.
And I think there's some consistency here in what happened. You see how high Michael is. I mean, you'd like to be down on the white line there, right on the bottom of the racetrack. But when you start to come off of the bottom, the driver's tendency is to pull it harder and harder to the left. And when you do, it snaps. The back end of the car, you turn it, finally the front will get a little bite, and when it does, the back end will snap around. And you already are cutting left. There's no way to whoop it back to the right to try to save it.
And Dick Berggren is with Michael Waltrip.
Don't leave. You okay?
Yeah, I'm all right.
What happened out there, Michael?
Oh, I just going for it. I thought the first lap was pretty good, but just hard on the gas and didn't stick and got a little sideways and just lost the car. So it's just disappointing. We hadn't had a crash in a long time and hadn't used a backup car in a long time, and things were really clicking for this team. I hope this doesn't set us back too far. But the Napa Chevy that we're unloading right now is the car we raced at Bristol and finished in the top 10. And these boys are really talented. I got a great bunch of guys that work for me, so we'll recover.
Cheer up. It's going to be okay Sunday.
If nothing else, they're working off momentum. Had a good run at Richmond a few weeks ago, great run in the All-Star race, and then a great run the other night, finishing second in the Coca-Cola.
Yeah, and he's second quick. I don't know where he'll end up, but at least he still gets to pick his pit. He'll get a good pit selection, and that'll make up more than he can make up on the racetrack if he can get down here near the first turn in the pit box.
You know what was impressive about their run last Sunday night at Lowe's Motor Speedway? They were in the top 5 all night.
All night long.
It wasn't like they snuck in there. They were up there consistently all night. So we're under a bit of a caution here. Track officials getting the track cleaned off, and we'll be back to qualifying. Ryan Newman over 160 miles per hour, a new track record. Casey Kane looks lonely up there, boys.
Oh, it's lonely at the top.
He'll start 4th at tomorrow's Busch Series race.
Of the truck.
Yes,
by yourself.
Truck, yeah.
Oh, by myself.
He wasn't lonely on the cover of USA Today last week, though. Not at all.
Todd Bodine. Trying to make his 7th Cup race of 2004.
Drove this car for the first time at Lowe's Motor Speedway last week, and they actually missed the show.
Oh, you hear him? He took the throttle up, had to get right back out of it. Must be, ooh.
Got pretty loose right there. He was one of the lucky ones.
Yeah, a little treacherous down there in 1 and 2 right now.
He was 35th quickest in practice at a 23.18.
He's up altitude, big time off of 4 here. That car's a little bit on the evil side.
Yeah, I was going to say, Darrell, he's running a lot higher. Most guys are down there along the bottom in qualifying anyways.
I think he's just kind of chasing her around. Wherever she wants to go, he's going with it.
Yeah, like a lot of cars that picked up from practice, Todd's actually going to slow down about a 1/10 and a half, 24.30, 10th quickest.
Oh, man, that is a loose ride right there.
It sounds like that's what everybody is fighting right now, DW, as they go to qualify. They're fighting much looser than they were in practice.
Sometimes you put all that tape on the grill. If you do race runs and then all of a sudden you get ready to go qualify and you tape up the grill, it will plant the nose and you'll be tail happy.
That's going to be borderline getting this show because this team has no provisionals.
46 drivers here for 43 spots. There's Ward Burton. He'll be up shortly here at Dover. Kirk Shelmerdine just completed his qualifying effort here at Dover International Speedway. Ryan Newman is the quickest thus far. Jeff Burton on the racetrack.
The car we were talking about earlier, Jeff Burton's car, solid white car, has the number only on it.
You know what, Larry? If I didn't have a sponsor on my car, I would come up with the most bizarre paint job that I could think of.
Would it have flames and chrome?
It'd have flames, it'd have chrome, it'd have all kind of different unique things on it. And somebody look at that and say, man, that look cool. I like that. That's a cool car. And I'd like to have my name on the side of that car.
You know, the Busch Series, Ashton Lewis Jr.'s car says advertise here on the hood.
Yeah.
Jeff picks it up on that second lap, 22.84. He's 6th quickest out of the 13 cars that has attempted to qualify.
Darrell just sounded like Sterling Marlin. He said, yeah.
Well, we are neighbors, you know.
Yeah.
He did call me the other day.
157.591 miles per hour. Let's go to Jeff Hammond.
Well, DW, you talking about things that kind of catch your eye. Look at Bobby Labonte here, man. I like that uniform. That's pretty special.
It's pretty cool. Obviously, we're running the MBNA D-Day car this weekend and commemorative offering of the D-Day invasion over in Normandy. So obviously, we got this car and really proud to be running it.
Now, don't panic. The cameraman just want to get behind you so he can show off how cool that back of the uniform looks.
Don't show everything.
So how's your car today?
It wasn't that good in practice, and Michael and I, we talked about doing some things to it to make it a little bit better. It just didn't seem like we were in the racetrack. We could get the balance changing a little bit, but it really wasn't picking up no speed. So we made a few changes on our car to hopefully get the car in the racetrack a little bit better. And, you know, we're taking a little stab in the dark here, but we ran a little bit of race practice this morning. If we learn something from this, if we don't get rained on before we qualify, then maybe we can apply it for the race on Sunday if we don't get practice. So, you know, hopefully it'll be better than what it was in practice, but we'll have to wait and see.
Well, that's Bobby Labonte, and right now, Elliott Sadler just completed his run.
And he's second quick, Jeff Hammond.
He was pretty quick in practice earlier, talking about D-Day. I think this car here actually has a National D-Day logo on the rear quarter panel as well.
And that's lowering the old track record, the all-time track record, by a couple of hundredths. So we got 2 cars that have broken the all-time track record, which was set here in '99, right after they ground the racetrack. The track was so much smoother and had so much more grip after they ground on it.
And it's nice to see so many teams and this racetrack honoring the 60th anniversary of D-Day. I happened to see a documentary last night about the 507th Parachute Infantry Regiment. They dropped 2,000 soldiers paratroop into France. Less than 800 of them came home alive.
This was a huge, huge deal. It's hard to believe. 60 years ago, which was a couple, 3, 4 years before NASCAR was even formed.
Yep. But, you know, nobody likes a war and nobody wants to have conflict. But those people are why we have the freedoms we have today. Because if it hadn't been for that, no telling what would be going on in our country today. And we have to always remember that. And Ricky Craven just got him a piece of the wall off the 2 over there.
First lap puts him 11th quickest. And, you know, I know this qualifying run don't look like it's going to be this good, but Ricky has been so solid here. His last 6 starts here, 4 top 10 finishes. Our first race here back in 2001 looked like he was destined to win that race at a green flag pit stop. Bit him late in the race.
Yeah, he was on a roll there a couple of years ago. To Rockingham, he had a great car, almost won. Came here, great car, almost won. Run the high line, get up off the bottom, get up in the middle of the high part of the racetrack. Really looked good. But he caught a little piece of the wall off the 2 over there. Just barely brushes it. Gets loose, and oh, man.
Ever so slightly. But DW, you know, we were talking in Busch Series qualifying, and this racetrack is so unique. Most racetracks we go to, we talk about driving in the corner. Here you drive down into the corner. You talk about coming up off the corner. Here you drive up a hill, and you're just carrying so much speed up against that wall.
Yeah, when you go down into the corner, the drivers do what they call land. You actually feel like your car gets almost airborne when you go into the corner. And then it sits down in the middle of the corner, and as soon as it does, that's when you got to nail the throttle wide open. Then you're coming up out of that corner, and the car wants to get light again, and that's when it tries to spin out.
Didn't we hear Jimmy Johnson say that last week at Lowe's Motor Speedway?
Yeah, same thing. Turn 1, going down into the corner, the car lands. In other words, it plants itself, and that's when, you know, sometimes it doesn't sit down just like you want it to. Rough landing.
Terry Labonte, turbulent landing. Terry Labonte, 50 starts here at Dover's, never won, but he does have 2 poles. Jeff Hammond.
Guys, I'm down here with Jamie McMurray. And first off, I want you to look how Jamie is down inside his race car, inside his cockpit. Legs really tight, little centerpiece here. He is really basically molding himself down inside of his race car. And Jamie, are you comfortable down in there?
Yeah, this is actually one of the new Hendrix carbon seats. This is about my 4th race with it, and it's a lot different. It doesn't have the rib supports, and it is a lot narrower. It's taken a while for me to get used to it, but I ran it last week at Charlotte in the 600, and felt great after the race. I wasn't tired, and just really comfortable.
He's very comfortable, and I think the guy on the racetrack right there is looking for a comfortable lap, isn't he, guys?
And that would be Jeff Gordon, Jeff Hammond.
And he's on it.
These guys were only 21st quickest in practice. I don't know if you guys watched television this past Wednesday, but for the 5th time, he helped host the Regis and Kelly show and helped interview Indy 500 winner Buddy Rice on Wednesday.
He says trackside is the show of shows, though.
Exactly.
I think he was being sarcastic.
But he's been on our show more than he's been on that show.
It's a fact.
He just going to that one lap. I don't know, that car was not real comfortable, I don't think.
He's going to be 5th quickest at a 22.68, though.
4-time winner here on the Monster Mile. And let's go back to Dick Berggren.
With Elliott Sadler, who was 5th quick in practice. Right now, he's 2nd quick on the boards. But you certainly had to watch 2 cars pile into the wall just before you took your time trial. Did that cause you to want to ease up, or were you able to go as fast as you wanted to?
No, I didn't ease up any, but we did make some adjustments to the car after we saw what happened to the 15 and the 16. We know they're really good cars and stuff, so Todd made some great calls to adjust the air pressure on pit road for that, because we were kind of scanning those guys, and it paid off. That's a great lap for us. That's as fast as we've ran, and we think that'll be in the top 6 or 7. Another great qualifying effort by everybody on the M&M's team. Great job in the motor shop. Good motor again. We'll go get them Sunday.
Elliott Sadler is on a roll.
And as far as qualifying goes, Dick Berggren, Jeff Green is too. He qualified 3rd at California, then again at Richmond, and 8th at Lowe's Motor Speedway.
Yeah, qualifying figured out.
Pretty good lap. He really got back in hard over there early in the turn 3.
He was 13th quickest in practice, 6th quickest for Jeff Green in the 43.
158.242 miles per hour.
He's coming up on some tracks now that he'll be going to for the second time with this group. Here in September was his very first race in the number 43 car.
He's playing with the throttle a bit. The throttle is a real good indicator of what kind of lap you're going to have. If you see a guy not off that throttle very long, and when he gets back in, he can get in it wide open and stay, he's going to have a fast lap.
First lap was the quickest for Jeff Green. Ryan Newman in a Dodge, the man to beat right now, followed by Elliott Sadler in a Ford and Michael Waltrip in a Chevrolet, but Michael crashed on his second lap.
Better watch this kid right here, Brian Vickers, in this 25 car. He was third quickest in practice, and I know for a fact they spent about 3/4 of their practice working on race runs and then flipped it over to qualifying trim for a couple of runs right at the end.
And as Matt Yoakum said during Busch Series qualifying, Vickers won here in the Busch Series last September.
He's flirting with that Bud pole, keep flipping back between first and second.
Had a little bit of a problem off turn 2 there. You can see the throttle tracer. He couldn't quite mat it like he'd like to. Again, he's having to play with it a little bit.
He mats it early, but he has to roll back out of it before he can go full throttle.
And that's a good thing. I mean, you shoot the car straight up. You're trying to get as much speed through the corners you can. There he is, second quick. Just barely missed the pole.
The last 3 weeks, he's qualified 6th, then a pole at Richmond, and 5th last week.
Let's watch again the throttle tracker here, because he's had to stay out of it way too long. And he finally does get the car turned, and that's what he's really working with.
Slows down just a little bit.
So great first lap for Brian Vickers. He's second quick right now behind Ryan Newman. Qualifying continues at the Dover International Speedway. You're watching Speed. Jimmy Spencer just completing his qualifying here at Dover, 17th quick.
That is a backup car. He crashed hard in practice earlier today.
Schrader's on a pretty good looking little lap here.
He was 18th quickest in practice. His very last win came here in June of 1991.
7th. Good lap, 22.71. Car looks really good. It's sticking right on the bottom, smooth. Well, Schrader likes his joint.
He really does. And if you can imagine, DW, always talk about how Schrader loves to race. Tomorrow night he's going to go over to Waterford, Connecticut, Speedbone, to race against Kevin Harvick, Bill Elliott, and Kerry Earnhardt.
If it's got 4 wheels, he'll jump in her.
I wonder if Dick Berger's going to go over there with him.
Hey,
Dr. Dirk.
I'd love to go run Waterford. It's a great place. It really is a third-mile asphalt racetrack. It is neat, but right now we're at Dover. And look at these two guys, both of whom have smiles on their faces. Jeff Gordon, who's led 26% of the laps here since this place has been concrete. What kind of a car have you got today? Good car?
Well, a good car, definitely. We ran a lot of race practice this morning because we feel like it's going to rain tomorrow. So, you know, for the limited amount of qualifying practice that we had, I'm real happy with how much we picked up there. I felt like, you know, love to do it over again. I think I could get a little bit more out of it, but Brian here put a great lap up, and, you know, we'll just see where we end up for now.
And how's your car?
That was pretty good, man. I wanted that pole again pretty bad, and we came really close to it. He said that 42 the first time by, and I went for it. I think I was better in 1 and 2 the second lap, but I just overdrove it, get into 3. But we made a lot of race runs this morning, too, and I was really happy with the car and race trim. GMAC Chevy crew did an awesome job all day.
And you're going to have to beat Jeremy Mayfield. He is on the racetrack right now, and he's been fast, Steve.
And he is the fastest, Dick Berggren, bumping Ryan Newman by a lot.
I mean, that just completely shatters the track record. It was a 22.50. He ran a 22.28, and he's still going.
Yeah, and he's almost a mile an hour quicker than Ryan Newman.
161.522, Darrell.
He beat Ryan on his second lap, which is pretty hard to do.
That picked up about a 10th from what he ran in practice as well. That's a great lap. That's going to be a tough one to knock off right there.
That is just short of running this joint wide open.
Well, I definitely think you heard him talk about that test session. I think it definitely paid off.
And I think you also heard him say something about Ray would be happy. Ray will be ecstatic.
I guess. Kevin Harvick, he had a funny quote about this place. He said, I'm either good or I stink.
Feast or famine.
Yeah.
just watching him right now, I smell something burning.
And Darrell in this fan. Whoa,
I'm telling you, that
off 4.
Yeah, 18th quickest for Kevin at a 23:09. He was only 31st quickest in practice. I think he's had enough after one.
I started to say last year for this event he started 23rd and finished 27th. Then here in September, he started 3rd and finished 4th.
Won't be very happy with that one.
No, but I'm watching the 19 car. He's coasting down pit road there. People are bowing. They're not just waving and cheering. They are bowing.
They are saying, we are not worthy.
That's right.
You are the man.
That's right. That was quite an amazing lap.
And as part of the D-Day celebration this weekend, a 60th anniversary, Ricky Rudd carrying the Air Force on the hood.
Ricky will be making his 52nd start here on Sunday, but DW, you made 53 starts here. That's a lot of starts at one racetrack.
I started coming here in 1973 and ran here until 2000.
Ricky has 4 wins here in those 51 starts that he's made.
Most recently, 1997.
15th quickest, 22:96. Looks like everybody pretty much in the middle is here running either a 70, 80, or a 90. See, a little bit of break down in the middle of the corner. Slows down on his second lap, so right now Ricky will be 15th quickest.
Let's go to Dick Berggren.
With Jeremy Mayfield, who's about to get high fives from team owner Ray Evernham. Where did that lap come from? Wow.
Man, it came from our Dodge dealers, UAW Dodge, from Evernham Motorsports. They done a great job, got a great car here, and really looking forward to the weekend. You know, we had a good test here and did all of our race stuff, and never dreamed we'd come here and be this fast. I'm real happy with it. Only guy I'm worried about is my teammate. He's going to be good too here, so we'll see what happens.
How much did you lift going in the corner?
It's awesome in the corners, man. It just really fast, and Kenny come on the radio, but I wasn't sure if I heard him on the radio. I had my radio, didn't have it up high enough, and you know, the first lap was good enough. I went and run second one just to make sure, but still a good day for us.
Congratulations. I guess it's a good day. Wow.
Look at Ray back here.
He's smiling, isn't he?
Look at him. I told you.
You know, Steve, you were talking at the top of the show. We're almost halfway through these 26 races, and we watched Morgan Shepherd, the 89 car, attempt his qualifying. Jeremy Mayfield, he's one of those guys. He's 48 points behind the 400-point mark, 14th in points. He's one of those teams, they have no more mulligans. They've got to run every week like they did at Lowe's Motor Speedway last week.
It's almost like when you get into the playoffs. You can't think about next week. You got to think about that day, that race.
Morgan ends up 21st quickest at a 23:15. With 46 cars, you have to beat 8 cars to guarantee yourself into the top fastest 38.
24 drivers have taken time. Greg Biffle did not finish his first lap, spinning off of turn 2. Jamie McMurray on the racetrack.
So far, it's a pretty good looking little lap here too. Got in there a little bit low, going to cause him to push up a little bit. Need to make a little wider swing down in there, but see how it affects him.
He was 27th quickest in practice.
6th quickest. 6th quick. Made a low entry into turn 3. I think if he held it out there a little longer and got a later apex, it might have picked up a little bit of speed.
Hey, Darrell, Larry, I'm curious. Somebody asked me this week if I thought that the new chase for the championship had affected the racing any. What do you guys think?
I think once these guys buckle in on race day, I don't think they think about it, DW, but I think it's during the week as these races start unfolding when you start taking a real close look at where you're at.
I think it's pressure. And you got 26 races, and you know where you got to be at the end of those 26 races. It's not like you got 36, and you say, we got plenty of time. I think that's making a huge difference.
And this is a guy, he don't have many mulligans either because he's 12th, 384 behind that leader.
Think Ray's happy? Look at him celebrate with Jeremy Mayfield. track at Dover. Jeremy Mayfield is the quickest, 161.52 miles per hour on the Monster Mile. Tony Raines has completed his qualifying. He's 22nd, and we go to Jeff Hammond.
Well, I'm down here with Jimmy Johnson. He's sliding down in his number 48 race car. Jimmy, awesome performance last weekend. Pretty impressive lap by Jeremy Mayfield. Can you guys beat him?
I don't know. That's pretty impressive. I mean, to see him be able to drive out onto the straightaway and open the wheel up and drive it out to the wall was pretty impressive. Everybody else is sliding out to the wall. So that was a good lap for him. We worked on race runs a lot like a lot of other people did. I feel really good about that. Hopefully we'll get a top 5, top 10 spot with this Lowe's Monte Carlo and go from there. We know how to win here. We've done it before.
Jimmy Johnson, one of the drivers to sweep both races here.
What he's talking about when he says he's driving it out to the wall, he's in control of the car. Everybody else is sliding their car out there and hoping that it sticks. Jeremy was driving his car up off the corner, nice and straight.
We saw Kevin LePage in the 51 car. He ends up 23rd. He's one of the cars that will have to qualify in the top 38. He's beat 5 cars. He needs to beat 3 more.
Johnny Sauter, another driver who's been extra busy, tested at Pocono on Thursday. He'll go to Infineon Raceway in Sonoma with Robbie Gordon.
On the pole for the Busch race.
Outside pole.
Outside pole, that's right.
Teammate David Green's on the pole.
David Green beat him right to the end.
Johnny's 23rd quickest on his first lap, 23:14.
Ooh, that thing was headed out of here.
Don't think this lap will be any quicker. Got his first DNF of 2004 last week at Lowe's.
Johnny 30th, Nextel Cup points. Jeff Hammond is with another Evernham Motorsports driver, Casey Kane.
Well, Casey, talking and listening to your teammate, Jeremy Mayfield, he says you're the only guy he thinks can possibly knock him off. What do you think?
I don't know about that. Jeremy put down an awesome lap. It's pretty cool to see the 19 up there, another Dodge dealers, UAW Dodge. So we got a good car too, and the guys made a few changes, so hopefully we'll pick up. But the lap Jeremy put down was pretty awesome.
I saw your car underwriter Ray Evernham, you guys talking a second ago. Was he giving you some pointers?
He told me he wants both his cars in the Busch shootout, so go second fastest. But I think he was just joking about that. We were joking around, so we'll see what happens. We'll definitely try for a pole, but Jeremy put down a great lap.
All right, thanks a lot, Jeff. Tony Stewart making his 11th attempt here at Dover. Has led every one of those races except one.
And DW, I know you love numbers. You were talking about his teammate at Lowe's Motor Speedway, Bobby Labonte, last week. But in those 10 starts, he has finished 11th or better, 8 top 5s, and 2 wins.
Oh, yeah, and of course he had a dominant car here last year, you know, and he had that pit violation, and that put him behind, but he made it up.
He actually picked up a little bit on his second lap, so he'll be 7th quickest at a 22:67. I say Tony be pretty happy with that.
I think so. Here's a guy on the track now that I think is going to have a big weekend. I thought it all the way coming here this weekend, and I'm just thinking Mark Martin's going to have one of those Mark Martin kind of weekends. He's been building momentum.
See 4 poles. He also has 3 wins. Darrell, he said this is his favorite racetrack. I don't hear many drivers say that about Dover.
No, and last week he had a great car, had an ignition problem, and it took him a while to figure it out and get it fixed, but this team seems to be getting a little momentum going too.
And just talking a little bit about that, and again, this is the same car he ran at Lowe's, but both ignition boxes, as he ends up 5th quickest on his first lap, both ignition boxes went out, and the way they're mounted now, NASCAR mandates they be bolted under the windshield on the right side. They made them change that panel to change their boxes. That's the reason it took about 15 laps to do it. That's a good qualifying run for Mark. Almost runs the identical time on his second lap, so right now he's 5th quickest.
Jeremy Mayfield over 161 miles per hour, the only driver to do so. 30 drivers clocking in today.
Well, Steve, what makes that impressive is I know what Ryan Newman is pretty much, he's the rocket man, as we call it. And Jeremy beat the rocket man about a mile an hour. That's how fast Jeremy was today.
I'll be anxious to see how Casey Mears runs here. He was 14th quickest in practice, and the minute Jamie McMurray completed his run a while ago, Casey's teammate, Jimmy Elledge, Casey's crew chief, was on the radio asking Jamie about the car. Jamie described the entire lap to Jimmy with hopes that Jimmy can make adjustments on the 41 car to make it better.
It's a little edgy off the 4.
Darrell, he's another driver. Had a good run last week at Lowe's Motor Speedway. Was in or around the top 10 all night.
Yeah, I mean, his whole year. In fact, this point, a year ago, he was 39th in points, and now he's 16th in Nextel Cup points. This lap looks like it may be a little better than the first lap.
It's a better looking lap. See if he gets a better time.
Yes, sir. Picks up a 10th, goes to 12th quickest for Casey.
She was doing the D-Dido off of turn 4 there, the first lap. He cleaned it up a little bit on that one.
You know, Darrell, we have so many multi-car teams in that garage area, but I believe if I modeled a multi-car team how it should work, it would be the way Ganassi's trying to work his 3 teams.
Hey, DW, Neil Goldberg just asked me to explain D-Dido. I can't even get close. You're going to have to do it.
Well,
for Hammond.
It's multifaceted. It's a D, it's a die, and it's a do. And you got to, you know, maybe Hammond can explain it.
Well, how does it differ from, maybe Jeff can answer this, how does it differ from a turkey walk?
No, turkey, that's a whole other thing right there.
Well, I've seen Jeff Hammond do a turkey walk. Maybe he'll do a D-Dido.
A D-Dido is more with the hands and that kind of thing. It's more of a driver thing. A turkey walk's a car thing.
Oh. Okay. Now that we have that straight.
Is Hammond not going to say anything?
Am I supposed to right now? Somebody needs to tell me that I can answer you. I didn't think it was appropriate, DW. But yeah, a D-Dido is one of your descriptions. And what I always understood it to be was like, Hammond, I'm saying I'm loose. I said I'm loose. I said I'm loose. I know it's D-Didoing about that time. When his voice is changing,
goes up
I
an
know
octave or two,
exactly. Right? It's voice activated, Larry. I know you can understand that.
I didn't think if you're getting loose, you had that much time to talk.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You can't talk when the crew chief asks you how your gauges are. When that baby gets loose, you commence to screaming.
Hermie Sadler ends up 30th quickest, which that's good news for Kevin LePage because that's another car that he's beat. He only needs to beat, I think, one more car.
Boy, Jimmy Johnson just spanked the field last weekend. Have you ever seen a win that dominating at that racetrack?
Well, what I liked the most about it was that you think about when the race started, you go through all those condition changes, you know, temperature on the track, daylight to dark. And the thing that impressed me the most, yeah, Jimmy drove a great race. Yeah, they had a great car. But Chad Knaus called the perfect race.
And they worked on that race car. I was in their pit area the other night. They pulled spring rubbers. I mean, it wasn't like the car was wicked fast right from the start.
And I had an interesting conversation with Chad this week. He said, Darrell, the race was happening so fast that it got to a point of the race quicker than it should have by normal standards. And he said they had to get aggressive with their changes.
Yeah, a lot of my friends at home, you know, people say, well, it was a boring race. The same car led the whole race. But my friends at home were amazed. They sat and watched with amazement at how good that car was, and they kept waiting for something to happen to it.
You know, Jimmy was quoted, too, as saying it wasn't the easiest car to drive, but he was so encouraged because when he hustled it, he could feel himself pulling away.
Well, I heard him say every lap was like a qualifying lap, and the times reflected it.
I believe he's going to be a little better on his second lap here. 22.73 on the first lap. See what happens here. Yeah, he picks it up to 11th quickest, 22.69.
That where he practiced.
Dick Berggren.
With Mark Martin, who before the race said that you really love this place at Dover. The question is it because you won 4 poles here or 3 races, or because your first Busch win was here?
No, Dick, really, to be honest with you, I didn't get those wins till way after I'd been loving it a long time. It was late 90s before we started winning here, and no one could believe it, and especially me, as good as we had run here. But, you know, I just used to always blow tires out here. And, you know, they've got that fairly well cured now, so we can go ahead and run hard here nowadays. But, you know, to drive for a race team like Pat Tryson, the Viator team is just fantastic. They deserve so much better than a 15th place in the points. And, you know, maybe if we can get the monkey off our back, maybe we can make that top 10 at the cut. We've got such a good race team and really good race cars right now. And we just got to keep them running.
Yeah, great run last week at Lowe's Motor Speedway in 3rd position when the ignition failed. He's got another great car this weekend. Same car, in fact. We wish you well on Sunday.
Dodge. Pretty solid lap that first lap for Sterling. 22.72, 13th quickest.
And right now it's an all Dodge front row. It's Jeremy Mayfield and Ryan Newman. More qualifying from Dover right after this. Back at Dover, we'll see what Casey Kane has for Jeremy Mayfield.
Boy, I thought last week, you know, there at the latter stages of the race, he was closing on Jimmy Johnson. The only car that did that all night long. Had those cautions there at the end. The car didn't look nearly as good the last few laps of the race. Matter of fact, he got into Bobby Labonte. I know he and Bobby had a few words after the race, as a matter of fact.
Casey was 6th quickest in practice.
I think Bobby was explaining a few things to him.
Car looks awfully good, DW.
Yeah, she's up off the bottom, Larry.
Yeah, it's not great right there.
Slid up there at a little bit in the center of the turn.
11th quickest on his first lap.
See how he goes up the hill right there, kind of diming the corner off? It's costing you time.
A little bit loose late exit there for the straightaway.
She don't have the Jeremy look, I can tell you that.
I believe this lap may be a little better than that first lap if he can get off turn 4, but it's not going to be pole material. Picks up just a little bit, picks it up 1 position by doing it.
Ward Burton has also made his qualifying run. He's 22nd. Let's go to Jeff Hammond.
Brendan Gaughan, you've raced a truck here before. How's your Jasper car this weekend?
We've been struggling since we started, but this is the Punisher car right here, the Punisher Dodge that ran Bristol. So I got a little skull up on the roll bar. Got a little skull up on the roll bar just to remind us that this is the Punisher car. So at the end of practice, we figured it out a little bit. We think we'll be all right.
All right, back up to you guys. Good luck today, Brendan.
Dale Earnhardt Jr., driver 8 on the racetrack.
Not real impressed with this lap so far. He getting up off the bottom. Looks like he's just pushing up in the middle of the corner quite a bit.
I don't think it's going to be anything like he practiced.
No.
He was 9th quickest. That lap 23rd quickest.
He's really struggling with the car right now. This looks really loose.
But you know, they have somewhat struggled at this racetrack. Yeah, they won the fall race here in 2001, but in 3 of the last 4 races, he's finished 24th or worse. This lap's terrible.
Jeff Hammond.
Steve, I was standing right there when Dale Jr. came up to his race car, and he talked to his cousin and car chief, Tony Uri Jr., and was telling him and asking him, hey, did you tighten this thing up a little bit? There was a lot of concern, I think, based off of what happened to Michael Waltrip whenever Dale Jr. started to go out about what kind of condition his car was going to be in compared to the track conditions. So maybe that's one of the reasons why he didn't have quite the lap he expected.
It looks to me like, Jeff, of course, sometimes a loose car will run up the racetrack with you, but almost looked like they tightened it up too much.
Yeah, and I just put it in perspective. His second lap was over a second slower than Jeremy Mayfield's lap. But you know, Darrell, Michael's lap, he's still hanging in there 6th quickest. Again, he'll have to go to the rear, but as you talked about, that'll be a good pit selection.
Bobby Labonte has some great numbers here at Dover. 3 poles and a win in 23 starts. Running that special paint scheme to commemorate the 60th anniversary of D-Day.
16th quickest on that first lap, 22.74, as you heard him say in his interview a while ago. They spent most of their practice working on race setup.
If that's the case, then the second lap ought to be better. See if it's any better or not, because if you've been working on race setup, you usually have a tendency to be a little conservative.
And Darrell, why would they do that? Are they concerned about possibly rain tomorrow and not getting enough practice?
Yeah, I mean, everybody, you know, we monitor everything, and the weather is part of it, and that's what happened. They all think it's going to rain tomorrow, but I don't think it is. I think it's going to be a beautiful day myself.
I'm with you, man. Look at Bobby Labonte in the last 5 races. Has jumped from 15th to 6th, 4 top 10s in his last 5 starts. Ward Burton is going to line up as we speak in the 23rd position. We'll be right back to Dover. You're watching Speed. Speed Channel's coverage of NASCAR Bud Pole qualifying from the Dover International Speedway is brought to you by MBNA and by John Deere. Nothing runs like a deer. Or Rusty Wallace, who has 26 top 10 starts here, including 5 poles, 8 starts from the front row.
And I think it'll be another one today.
4th there on the pretty good lap. I listened to them on the scanner, and they were Rusty was real happy with the car. And Larry Carter was. They were having fun. I love it when you're a crew chief and a driver. They have a lot of fun. They were having fun in practice.
Kyle Petty, 28th in his Dodge. His first lap quickest, 156.54 miles per hour. Matt Kinson.
Now, if he qualifies 25th, somewhere along in there, look out.
He'll win the race.
Look out.
This is the same car that he won that $1 million with 2 weeks ago in the All-Star race, and the same car that he finished 3rd with last week at Lowe's.
I like that strategy. Run it every week.
Robbie Reiser told me they had another car ready to come here, and that they liked this car so much they decided to pull the engine out, bring this car here. 39th quickest, though, on his first lap. He's going to have to pick it up, keep from using a provisional.
Made his Nextel Cup debut here, filling in for Bill Elliott. Finished 6th in his very first start.
That turned a lot of folks' head, buddy, right there.
He actually slows down on that 2nd lap.
He's going to have to get the whip out. That's a little further. Even for him, that's not good.
That's good news for Kevin LePage, though. He will be in the show. He's beat 8 cars.
Jeremy Mayfield sweating it out until all the drivers have made their qualifying attempts.
I don't think so, Steve. I don't see any sweat. I think he's just waiting the time out.
He just has the time, in other words.
Yeah, I think so. Time in a bottle.
Mike Wallace in the 50 car. He's replaced Derek Cope at Arnold Motorsports.
Little Eco guy was drawing up over there off 2.
Of course, the crew chief, Mike Hillman, you see it get real loose up off the corner. Him and Mike Wallace worked together when they were at A.J. Foyt racing, and they tell me that P.J. Jones is going to drive this car next week at Pocono.
Cool. I wonder if that little guy strapped in over there beside Mike singing.
The little gecko?
Yeah, little gecko guy.
Yeah.
He's probably over there singing Kung Fu Fighting. You ever seen that commercial?
Yes, I have.
Mike's 37th quickest on his first lap, 23.22. He picks it up that 2nd lap, 34th quickest. That bumps Hermie Sadler, puts Jimmy Spencer on the bubble. And Hermie Sadler will be one of the cars that will have to go to the house, as well as, I think, Todd Bodine, because he has no provision.
What's going on, Hammond?
Well, I'm down here with Rusty Wallace. You got a big grin on your face. Great qualifying effort.
Thanks. I'm real happy with that. It was a good, solid run. We did an hour of qualifying run today. Then we switched the car over and did an hour of race run. So if we do get the rain, I feel real confident. The car was really good and drove good in race form. So, yeah, it was a good run for the team.
How difficult is it? You've been here many, many times, but how difficult is it for you to put a lap like that on? You got to hold your breath?
Nah, this car handles good. You can bomb those babies off in the corner so deep that it's amazing how deep you can drive at these racetracks. And my car's really handling good and it drove good. And I put a little more camber in the right front tire to get it cut through the center just a little bit better, and that worked. And I think I left a little lane on the table, so I think our car could have run in the 20s. When Jeremy laid that lap, I went, man, that's smoking. No doubt about that. But when I ran that, I said, man, I could see where I could grab another 10th and a half. But hey, beggars can't be choosy. I'm happy. That was a good, solid run to the hot rod. And Miller Lite's happy. I'm happy. And I think I'm going to go have one right now.
Well, let's check and see how his teammate's doing out there.
His teammate's doing real good. 7th quickest on that first lap. This lap may be a little bit better, possibly. Yeah, 5th quickest. So all 3 Penske cars are in the top 5.
Now, what he has to be careful of is he might hope it does rain tomorrow, because he was 6th at Charlotte last week. Crashed in practice, had to go to the rear, never quite got it back together.
One more car, Jeremy. That's all you got.
Dave Blaney on the racetrack for Bill Davis Racing.
Dave actually going to be competing in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race later on today in Bill Davis's Toyota truck.
Yeah, he qualified really well right up front.
He was 22nd quickest in practice.
He's been giving this old car a pretty good ride every time he's had it out.
Same car he had at Lowe's. It was brand new, and they're actually they're going to skip Pocono, but they will race Michigan, Daytona, and then be working on the Brickyard 400 at Indy.
Where's Bang Racing starting in the truck race? Quappel and Skinner.
Mike will be starting 6th. Travis will be starting 11th. Both of them were awfully good in final practice, as I think old David Ruderman was in DW's truck.
Yeah, he's starting 8th, and I talked to David. He said the truck is excellent. He's looking forward to the race. He's never been here before. Very happy.
Truck race right ahead here on Speed Live.
Dave ended up 27th quickest on his first lap, and that'll bump Morgan Shepherd out of the fastest 38. He slows down on lap 2. Jeremy can smile now.
It's official.
You want my hat?
There's your front row. Couple of Dodges. Mayfield from Evernham Motorsports. Ryan Newman from Penske. Let's go to Dick Berggren.
With Jeremy Mayfield up in the front office of the hauler. We've just figured out you got something figured out here. Third, you qualified 3rd here last spring. Finished 2nd here last fall. Now the pole. What's your secret?
I don't know. I guess good cars, because I tell you what, our Dodge really run good today, and man, just an awesome car. I couldn't believe it. We tested here, you know, like a couple weeks ago, and just race stuff only, and come back to qualifying, it was just as good or better then. And man, my hat's off to the engine shop, all the guys back at the shop. Everybody's you know, contributed to this deal, and just a great run for us here.
Tell us about Sunday. What can we anticipate seeing from car number 19 on Sunday?
Well, hopefully you'll see it up front like it is right now, and feel real good about this place. I feel like, you know, after the Open a couple weeks ago, then 600 last week, we feel like we've turned the corner again, and back to you know, running good up front, and hopefully we'll set on poles now like we did today and win races.
Fast. 3 weeks in a row.
9th different pole winner of the 2004 season. 8th career pole for Jeremy Mayfield. Those not making the race, Todd Bodine, Hermie Sadler, and Larry Gunzelman. Gunzelman, stay right here on Speed. NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Racing is next with the MBNA 200. For Dick Berggren, Jeff Hammond, Darrell Waltrip, and Larry McReynolds, I'm Steve Burns. Thanks for joining us. Stay tuned for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, the MBNA 200. Jeremy Mayfield's 8th career pole